Hi, and welcome to the Adventures of Uber Dad. This is episode 7 in my video series on how to sign up and drive for Uber and if it's right for you. This is part 2 of episode 6, which was covering finances. In 6, I went ahead and covered generally how much money you make on average, how you get paid, other incentives that they give you to go ahead and drive, like bump payments or adjustments to the account if you drive a certain number of hours and you fall below a minimum threshold of the amount of money that they would like you to make per hour, how they adjust that up. In this episode, I'd like to talk about surge pricing, which is something that people are fascinated with, and likewise talk about taxes, and then any other financial incentives that Uber will offer, and there are a few that can be of value to you. So surge pricing, how does that work? Well, when you go ahead and you open up the app, the first thing that you're going to see when you go on, first thing you'll see is a map of your area and the surrounding area. If you're in a busy metropolitan center or an area that needs a lot of Uber drivers, you're going to notice that there's kind of a heat map overlay that happens over everything. What this is a hexagonal display, and wherever they need the most riders, you're going to see that's in bright red, and it fades down to burnt orange, all the way down to yellow, down to clear. Transparent or clear means that you're basically at a 1-to-1 ratio for normal Uber pricing. Red is the maximum pricing for surge pricing, and that's going to be rated at the very top right of the app. You're going to see a little surge symbol, and if you click on it, it's going to say what the surge rating will be. Sometimes that's anywhere between 1 and 2.2 in Los Angeles, my market, but oftentimes during busy morning commutes or on the weekend, that can get as high as 4, or even this morning I saw 5. I've even heard tellings like during New Year's Eve that people have paid as high as 8 or 9 times surge charge just to get home because there was such a demand for Uber drivers and there weren't that many on the road. So this is something that you basically have to be aware of. You can go ahead and scale it yourself. Obviously, everybody would like to pick people up and drive a nice long time with somebody who, has a 4-time surcharge on it. I do find that people will wait. And the hard thing is that the app updates probably every 30 seconds to a minute. And you'll notice that the heat map is constantly in flux. So I would recommend against chasing after the heat map. And I'll cover this a little bit more in strategies for driving. It's something you'll have to find out for yourself. But basically, if you're in a surge area, depending on the color of that area, that's going to be a multiplier that goes against the rate, and that's going to factor into the total cost of the ride, and then your percentage of it that you receive, you'll see that reflected when you break it down. When you look at earnings and you study the individual ride, you'll see that there's a surcharge that's there, and it will list how much the surcharge was. Likewise, on your weekly itemized breakdown of your earnings, you will see a breakdown there of what the total surge charges were. It's a tough word, surge. All right, so taxes, how does that work? Well, I just went through it for the first time, and basically it's very easy. Uber is fantastic in the sense that everything is electronic. They link up to your checking account, and likewise at the end of the year, once taxes are done, about a month, maybe at the end of January, I received a notice that my taxes were being prepared. Essentially what they provide you is a independent contractor 1099 form, and that means that no taxes have been withheld from any of your earnings. So it is something that you have to plan for. As this money is being dumped into your account over the course of the year, you are expected to pay tax on it depending on what your total income is for the year. So if you have another job, you're going to add this amount to that. But unlike a normal job where you have a W-2 or W-4 that is withholding earnings so that come tax time, some of that money is already there and you find out how much you owe, and sometimes you're given money back or you owe a little bit less. You're going to owe the total tax amount based on what your federal and state tax rate is, adjusted tax rate is. So if that's 15%, if it's 25%, if it's 30%, that's something that you have to be aware of. And when you spend that money, it may be that you want to go ahead and set up a independent savings account. I went ahead and set one up through Ali Bank Online. And I made sure that whenever I got my money in, my marginal tax rate was somewhere around, 15, 16%. So I went ahead and I took 15% of the earnings and I make sure to put that into the savings account monthly. That way, at least I have some money put aside so that when come tax time, I'm not going to be blindsided and taken aback by owing thousands of dollars in taxes. But other than that, it's very straightforward. The 1099 form is something that you can put into Quicken if you do taxes yourself, or if you can take it to H&R Block or a private accountant. It's something that they'll understand, and it's very easy to input into your adjusted income. And then finally, the last thing I want to talk about is other financial incentives in driving for Uber. One thing you'll know that if you log into Uber online under your new partner account, there will be awards that are offered as a tab on the side. If you go into awards, you're going to find that there's a few other corporate partners out there that work with Uber that offer incentives for you to be an Uber driver. In my case, AT&T was one. I had cellular service with them, and they provided I believe it was 15% discount on my, just on my calling and texting and data rate. And that is something to think about because obviously, as you're driving for Uber, you're going to be downloading a lot more data through the Uber app itself, plus mapping apps that you need to use to go ahead and get around town. So you may have to increase your data as a part of your cell phone plan. You might as well take advantage of these discounts if they provide them to you. I've also seen it for Sprint. I'm sure it's in there for every other major cell carrier. Likewise, there's Jiffy Lube, I believe, Valvoline, a lot of things that are basically orientated towards you being a driver for Uber. I'm sure that as you continue to drive and you continue to earn ratings, they will unlock other rewards that are available to you. That's one great thing about working for Uber is they are a massive entity and they can basically knock on the door of any other corporation and bring business to that corporation and offer a discount in return. I'm hoping they figure out healthcare. That would be the best thing for me. So we'll see. Anyway, that's it right now for financials. I'll try and go in more detail based on your questions and comments in a later episode, but hopefully that covers the basics between this episode and episode 6. If you have any other further questions, please go ahead and write me at uberdad.la@gmail.com. And if you do decide to sign up for Uber and you're going to go ahead and go through the process, if you could use my referral code to do it, it would be much appreciated. There'll be a link at the top of this screen, or you can see it in the description of the video below, that will take you to a page that basically has a link to go directly to Uber to sign up using my referral code. Or if you'd like, you can go to www.uber.com and you can copy my referral code, which is also there. And at some point during the sign up process, there will be a point where you can enter a referral code. And what that means is that I'll receive a cash payment and you'll receive a cash payment after you've driven a couple of times. And it varies depending on what kind of incentives they're offering for that particular month. But it's a nice way to earn money in addition to driving your car. So that's it for episode 7. Looking forward to seeing you in episode 8. And I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.